Out of curiosity, how many other Canadians are noticing that these scumbag authoritarians are already starting to block our internet in Canada in advance of the liberal, commie, authoritarian government of Canada passing Bill C8 and C9, which allowed them to throw you in jail for life for speech these cowards don't like and cut your internet service? I just got thrown off TikTok with over 30,000 followers because I dared to criticize Canada's insane, ridiculous, self-defeating immigration policy. And now on this platform on YouTube, I'm noticing the reach go way down. I've seen other people who dare criticize the Canadian government commenting the same thing. So I'm wondering, for you guys in your algorithm, are you noticing it's tougher to see any content that's critical of the Canadian government? Because we all know what these tyrants want in Canada. They want to make it illegal to criticize the government. That's exactly what they want. I've never seen a trio of bills like Bill C3, which allows the Canadian government to intercept your mail without any notification and rifle through any Canadian's mail if they deem it to be in the national security interest. Bill C8, which allows them to throw you in prison for life. Mao, Pol Pot, Stalin would be jealous of these Canadian laws that we're seeing in 2025. And then Bill C9 allows them to cut internet service. They can just contact Rogers, contact Bell. The Canadian government doesn't like what you're saying. You're no longer allowed to access the internet. It's total authoritarian creep tactics. These control freak liberals govern me harder, daddy. It's pathetic. These people want to have full control over what you're allowed to think. They're now elite. They're the thought police in Canada. Oh, you had the wrong thought in Canada? You better watch out. You might get a lifetime prison sentence. Never mind the fact that the Canadian Supreme Court, with the 5 appointees from that creep Justin Trudeau, just announced that a mandatory 1-year minimum sentence for having SA child stuff on your computer, the most vile crime of the most vulnerable people, getting rid of mandatory 1-year prison sentences for that. Well, they also implement up to lifetime in prison for speech laws. So that's where we are in Canada. They got rid of the 1-year mandatory minimum sentence for having child SA content on your computer, while at the same time introducing laws to throw you in prison for life if you say something that creepy Mark Carney and the Liberal Party, who want control over every single aspect of Canadians' lives, to be able to throw you in prison for life. And we all know that in the year 2025, it's information warfare. We need to win the information war, and the Canadian government is attempting the most overt attempt I've ever seen these past couple weeks. It's become so blatant, banning anybody who dare criticize the fact they're allowing an unprecedented 3% of the total population into this country every single year. Literally unprecedented. The only historical precedents are Lebanon and Argentina, and both of these countries wound up in civil war, absolute catastrophe. So the Canadian government knows that they can't win the debate on immigration. They know they can't win the debate. They see the polling overwhelmingly unpopular, their policies. So you know what they're doing? They're saying, we are going to control the internet. We are going to determine what you as a Canadian citizen are and are not allowed to consume in types of information. Oh, is Mark Carney's little feelings hurt? Well, you know what? Mark Carney, the fact that you think a man can become a woman and a woman can become a man, I find that disgusting. I find you throwing Canada's economy down the drain. 22% youth male unemployment rate. Well, you got richer than ever off your so-called green initiatives to be disgusting. I find the fact that Brookfield Asset Management is up 45% since you were elected Prime Minister. Meanwhile, the Canadian economy, GDP per capita, has fallen 6 quarters in a row. 2 quarters in a row since you were elected, GDP is down. We're in a recession. I find it personally disgusting, just about everything about you. Send your kid to Tavistock. I think overwhelmingly you're a creep. You're a creep. You work for the WF, you work for Davos, you work for Brookfield Asset Management, you work for absolutely everybody but the Canadian people. And the fact that now you want to have control over the information that Canadian citizens are allowed to consume is nothing short of authoritarian. That's what you are. You're a tyrant, you're an authoritarian. So yeah, I'm wondering if you guys have seen much of a difference in your algorithm over the past couple weeks or so. Because looking at my analytics, they boot you off TikTok, and on YouTube, the analytics are down over the past couple weeks. And I think it's in conjunction. I see on my For You, any criticism of the Canadian government, in my estimation, is getting less and less visibilities. Now that they've passed their budget and I think they're going to get as aggressive as you've ever seen with these speech laws, with these thought laws, with the Canadian thought police. Well, how about we deal with the crack smoking on our streets? How about that, Mark Carney? Let's deal with the fact you walk out of your house a couple blocks away from Parliament and there's crack smoke all over the place. How about we deal something with the dilapidated cities, the cities that are falling apart, a healthcare system that sees an estimated 70,000 excess Canadians die every year. We still refuse to export our incredible natural resources, LNG oil, that the rest of the world is begging for because climate change or something like that. But this is overreach by the government, unlike anything I've ever seen before. The idea, you lose your humanity. We lose our humanity when you're no longer allowed to voice your honest to God held opinion. And that's what they're doing in Canada right now. If you're not on board with the Liberal Party and the destruction that they have wrought this country over the past decade, these communists, they are literally woke communist ideologues. If you're not on board with them, they want to be able to erase you. They want to be able to remove you from the internet, say you're not allowed to have voice. Oh, you're dangerous. You know what I find dangerous? I find the rhetoric that ignores biology, that ignores science. No party that tells me a man can become a woman and a woman can become a man can then shut me down and say, we're the party of science. We follow the science. And they're control freaks. They're control freaks unlike anything I've ever seen before. Who wants to shut their opponents down this much? It's disgusting. I would never want to shut a liberal down from saying what they want to say. I totally disagree 100%, but we live in a free society. You know, that's a voice your goddamn opinion. That's the pillar of goddamn Western civilization. So of course that's what these scumbags go after immediately. Yeah, so I'm just curious. Let me know in the comments. Have many of you noticed in the past 14 days or so that your algorithm has shifted much, that the Canadian government is making an overt attempt to control what you as a Canadian citizen are and are not allowed to see? Because by my estimation, it's made a big difference. And this is going to be another huge topic for the Fight for Canada Party. Say whatever the hell you want. We live in a goddamn free country. You can say what you please. Who gives a crap if somebody's offended? Get out of here. Please like, share, subscribe, join, become a member, donate. Really appreciate everybody's support. And yeah, let me know if you're noticing the same thing.